And so last week we began to talk about this topic of resurrection life.
Minggu lalu kita belajar tentang topik kebangkitan hidup.
This new life that we now live.
Ada hidup yang baru.
And we looked again at the exchanges that Jesus has made for us.
Kita melihat bagaimana pertukaran terbesar yang Tuhan Yesus lakukan buat kita.
That he has exchanged our sin for his righteousness.
Dia menukar dosa kita dengan kebenarannya.
That he's exchanged our condemnation for his justification.
Dia menukar penuduhan dengan pembenarannya.
And exchanged our old life in the flesh for his life by the Spirit.
Dia menukar hidup kita yang lama dengan hidup yang baru melalui kuasa Roh Kudus.
And we talked about what it means for us to live in this new life.
Dan kita belajar bagaimana sih kita hidup dalam hidup yang baru ini.
How it looks to live that out.
Bagaimana menghidupinya.
And remember that all of this is possible because of what Jesus has done
Semuanya
for us.
itu mungkin karena apa yang sudah Tuhan Yesus lakukan buat kita.
I love that we started with communion and remembering what Jesus has done for us, the sacrifice that he made so that we can have life.
Saya sangat senang kita mulai dengan perjamuan, kita mengingat kembali pengorbanan Yesus sehingga kita bisa mendapatkan kehidupan saat ini.
So good. So good. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about part of this resurrection life this morning.
Kita membicarakan bagian dari kebangkitan hidup hari ini.
And it's something that I sometimes struggle with, and I'm sure that some of us also struggle with it as well.
Yang mungkin saya pribadi sendiri sangat berjuang atau bergumul dengan itu, bahkan mungkin kita juga mengalaminya bersama.
And so this morning we're going to read from the book of 1 Peter.
Hari ini kita membaca dari 1 Petrus.
And so Peter, the same Peter that Jesus called the fisherman,
Petrus yang sama di mana yang dipanggil oleh Yesus untuk menjadi penjala manusia.
he wrote this book of the Bible, or two books of the Bible actually.
Dia menulis 2 kitab Petrus.
And he was writing this to the church. So the church was scattered because of the persecution that they were facing.
Pada saat itu gereja tersebar ke seluruh dunia karena ada penganiayaan.
And so Peter's writing this book, or these books, these letters, to encourage the church in their suffering.
Ya, jadi Petrus menuliskan ini untuk menguatkan semua jemaat karena penderitaan yang besar.
There are so many stories of early Christians who were martyred or killed for their faith.
Karena pada waktu itu banyak orang yang dibunuh karena iman mereka.
And so it's a pretty dark situation that Peter is trying to talk into here.
Jadi ini sangat dalam topik yang ingin Petrus bagikan.
And so we're going to read from 1 Peter 1 verse 3 until 9. Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. What a great place to start, hey? Great place to start. That when we're facing these dark situations, that praise be to God.
Iya.
That's where our eyes go. Our eyes go to Jesus, not on our problems and circumstances.
Ya, ketika kita mulai mengalami masa sulit, kita berkata pujilah Tuhan.
In His great mercy, He has given us new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, and into an inheritance that can never perish, spoil, or fade. Sounds good, right? This inheritance is kept in heaven for you, who through faith are shielded by God's power until the coming of the salvation that is ready to be revealed in the last time. In all this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honor when Christ Jesus is revealed. Though you have not seen him, you love him, and even though you do not see him now, you believe in him, and are filled with an inexpressible and glorious joy, for you are receiving the end result of your faith, the salvation of your souls.
Maksud semuanya itu salah ya. Terpujilah Allah dan Bapa Tuhan kita Yesus Kristus yang karena rahmatnya yang besar telah melahirkan kita kembali oleh kebangkitan Yesus Kristus dari antara orang mati kepada suatu hidup yang penuh pengharapan, untuk menerima suatu bagian yang tidak dapat binasa, yang tidak dapat cemar dan tidak dapat layu, yang tersimpan di sorga bagi kamu, yaitu kamu yang dipelihara dalam kekuatan Allah karena imanmu, sementara kamu menantikan keselamatan yang telah tersedia untuk dinyatakan pada zaman akhir. Bergembiralah akan hal itu, sekalipun sekarang ini kamu seketika harus berduka cita oleh berbagai-bagai pencobaan. Maksud semuanya itu ialah untuk membuktikan kemurnian imanmu yang jauh lebih tinggi nilainya daripada emas yang fana, yang diuji kemurniannya dengan api sehingga kamu memperoleh puji-pujian dan kemuliaan dan kehormatan pada hari Yesus Kristus menyatakan dirinya. Sekalipun kamu belum pernah melihat dia, namun kamu mengasihinya, kamu percaya kepada dia, sekalipun kamu sekarang tidak melihatnya, kamu bergembira karena sukacita yang mulia yang tidak terkatakan karena kamu mencapai tujuanmu yaitu keselamatan jiwamu.
So Peter, he's talking to the church going through these crazy trials, right?
Jadi Petrus saat ini menggambarkan tentang apa yang dialami gereja, tantangan yang dihadapi saat itu.
I think, isn't it funny that we're talking about this today on the day that the power's not working and it's a bit hot in here, hey? What a tough trial for us to deal with today, hey? A bit of heat.
Ya, jadi kalau kita saat ini tantangannya adalah panas karena kemarin listrik mati berjam-jam ya.
And so last week we talked about living this new life.
Jadi minggu lalu kita belajar tentang bagaimana menghidupi kehidupan yang baru dalam Kristus.
And so this is another part of what it means to be reborn or step into this new life.
Ya, atau disebut dengan lahir baru.
That we are reborn into a living hope.
Jadi kita lahir baru dalam pengharapan.
Now hope is not optimism.
Pengharapan itu bukan optimisme.
Hope is based on Jesus.
Jadi pengharapan berdasarkan Yesus.
Optimism is just choosing to see how a bad situation could turn out for good.
Iya, jadi optimis itu melihat situasi untuk hal yang baik.
But with hope, which the Greek word for is elpis in the Bible.
Jadi untuk pengharapan ada kata dalam bahasa Greek Yunani elpis.
And so there's often no evidence that things will get better.
Ya, tidak ada pengharapan itu seperti ini. Tidak ada bukti kalau itu akan menjadi lebih baik.
For the early church, there was no evidence that the persecution was ever going to stop.
Di gereja lama kalau tidak ada bukti kalau keadaan akan menjadi lebih baik.
There was no evidence to say that they weren't going to be killed for their faith.
Tidak ada bukti kalau mereka akan dibunuh karena iman mereka.
But there was still hope.
Tapi tetap ada pengharapan.
Hope beyond their physical reality.
Pengharapan itu adalah sesuatu yang di luar kenyataan hidup.
And so elpis refers to an anticipation and an expectation.
Jadi pengharapan itu adalah di antara antisipasi dan ekspektasi.
That we hope entirely in God's character.
Kita berharap sepenuhnya kepada karakter Tuhan.
We are expectant that God will do what He said He's going to do in line with His character.
Kita berharap Tuhan melakukan apa yang bisa dilakukan sesuai dengan karakternya Tuhan.
As is shown in His Word.
Seperti yang ditunjukkan di dalam firman-Nya.
And so our first point for this morning is resurrection life means that we have hope.
Kebangkitan hidup artinya kita mempunyai pengharapan.
But often it feels much easier to put our hope in things that we can see.
Kadang kita menaruh pengharapan kepada hal yang bisa kita lihat.
It's more tangible, we can experience it.
Karena sepertinya lebih nyata, kita bisa mengalaminya.
Thanks, guys. But when we put our hope in things of this world, they can and will disappoint us or fail us.
Tapi ketika kita menaruh pengharapan kepada dunia ini, itu akan mengecewakan kita.
And so this idea of putting hope in something that we cannot see might seem difficult for us.
Mungkin sangat susah bagi kita untuk menaruh pengharapan kepada sesuatu yang tidak terlihat.
But it is the only certain thing that we have.
Tapi itulah yang kita punya saat ini.
That we put our hope in what Christ has done for us.
Kita menaruh pengharapan pada apa yang sudah Yesus lakukan bagi kita.
And the eternal promises that come with that.
Dan ada janji yang kekal.
And so in preparing for this morning, I was reading and listening to some studies, some psychological studies about what hope means for humans.
Jadi ketika mempersiapkan khotbah ini, saya belajar tentang psikologi tentang apa pengharapan bagi manusia.
If we think about all living things, humans are the only ones that rely on hope.
Hanya manusia yang punya pengharapan.
A dog doesn't get up in the morning and have this existential crisis because he's worried about what the dog next door is going to think about him.
Iya.
Right?
Jadi seekor anjing, dia tidak pusing apa yang dipikirin anjing tetangga. Apa yang dia pikirin tentang aku ya? Enggak, dia enggak pusing.
His only concern is where his next meal is going to come from.
Iya, seekor anjing tidak akan pusing akan makanan berikutnya.
So we as humans are different.
Tapi kita manusia berbeda.
And so as I was reading, I came across this man called Viktor Frankl.
Jadi saya membaca seorang pria psikologis bernama Viktor Frankl.
And so he was a Jewish psychologist living in Austria.
Jadi dia adalah psikologis Yahudi yang tinggal di Austria.
And so he was put into a concentration camp during the Holocaust.
Jadi waktu selama Holocaust itu dia berada di camp konsentrasi.
A serious time of suffering, right?
Waktu itu pada zaman perang ya.
And so later, after he survived, and later he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning.
Jadi dia bertahan hidup dan selamat. Waktu itu dia menulis sebuah buku berjudul Manusia yang Mencari Arti Hidup.
And in his book, he shares stories of how people in this concentration camp dealt with the situation they were in.
Jadi dalam buku ini bercerita bagaimana orang-orang yang berada di camp konsentrasi hidup.
Some of them survived, but a lot of them did not.
Beberapa dari mereka hidup, beberapa meninggal.
And what he found or realized was that the people that had their hope in something that was outside of the war were the ones that survived.
Jadi dia menemukan bahwa orang yang berharap pada sesuatu yang di luar peperangan itu bertahan hidup.
They lived to see the end of the war.
Mereka hidup sampai perang itu berakhir.
And so he shares his personal example that his hope was in the fact that he could use his story of the suffering he experienced to then go and help people once he got out.
Jadi
And the war ended.
Frankel ini punya pengharapan, dia ingin hidup untuk menjadi melalui ceritanya dia menyampaikan pengharapan kepada orang lain yang membaca bukunya.
However, he also shares stories of people who had hope that the war would end after 6 months or after a year.
Jadi dia juga melihat bagaimana orang yang meninggal selama 6 bulan atau setahun itu ketika mereka mereka yang hanya menaruh pengharapan pada kondisi perang aja.
And when that time came and went, they very quickly passed after that.
Iya, waktu itu berlalu sangat cepat.
And so Frankl is considered to have created one of the best works of modern psychologists talking about this topic of humans searching for meaning.
Iya, jadi Viktor Frankl ini adalah salah satu psikologi terkenal yang membicarakan tentang manusia mencari arti hidup.
However, we can see that Peter wrote about this same thing 2,000 years ago.
Tapi kita lihat di Alkitab bahwa Petrus menuliskan hal tersebut 2000 tahun yang lalu.
That God used Peter to strengthen the believers in the early church.
Kita tahu bahwa Tuhan memakai Petrus untuk menguatkan gereja mula-mula.
And to show that the hope that they have goes beyond the suffering and the things that they were going through.
Bahwa mereka punya pengharapan yang lebih besar terlepas dari penderitaan yang mereka alami saat itu.
I think it's seriously amazing that, God just shows how well he knows the human psyche, that this was written 2,000 years ago, and we as the human race haven't discovered this until the last maybe 150 years.
Iya, luar biasanya adalah Tuhan sudah menyingkapkan 2000 tahun yang lalu, tapi manusia baru menemukannya kurang lebih 150 tahun yang lalu tentang arti pengharapan.
And so our hope is in Jesus.
Pengharapan kita di dalam Yesus.
In his complete work on the cross.
Dalam pekerjaannya di atas kayu salib.
And the promise of eternal life with him.
Dan janji dalam kehidupan kekal.
That's a life-giving hope.
Dan ini adalah pengharapan kehidupan.
That's a hope that doesn't depend on the good circumstances or nice things happening in my life.
Pengharapan bukan berdasarkan situasi yang baik atau hal yang baik terjadi dalam kehidupan saya.
If my hope is in a relationship or in my marriage,
jika pengharapan saya dalam hubungan atau dalam pernikahan saya,
then when there are disagreements or relational breakdown or loss, then my hope would be lost.
Tapi ketika terjadi arguing ataupun hubungan yang rusak, maka harapan saya hilang.
If our hope is in our finances, then when a big bill comes in or we have to pay medical expenses, our hope is lost.
Kalau pengharapan saya dalam keuangan saya, tapi ketika saya harus membayar tagihan besar dan keuangan saya habis, maka pengharapan saya hilang.
If our hope is in our possessions, then when they break or get stolen, our hope is lost.
Kalau pengharapan saya atas harta kekayaan saya ketika itu dicuri orang, maka pengharapan saya hilang.
If our hope is in a person, a leader or a pastor, then when they do something wrong or do something we don't agree with, our hope is lost.
Ketika pengharapan saya sepenuhnya pada pemimpin atau seorang pendeta, tapi ketika dia jatuh dalam dosa atau mengecewakan, maka pengharapan kita pun hilang.
And so that is why we have a living hope in Jesus.
Itu sebabnya kita punya pengharapan yang hidup di dalam Yesus saja.
I remember when I first left Bali in 2019 and went back to Australia.
Saya ingat ketika pertama kali saya pergi meninggalkan Bali tahun 2019 setelah setahun di Bali.
And I was on the way to the airport.
Saya mau ke airport.
And we stopped to pick up Intan because she was coming to check out our youth conference in Perth.
Waktu itu kami menjemput Intan di tempat tinggalnya karena dia harus ikut youth conference.
And at that time I was very into gaming.
Waktu itu saya adalah
Too much.
orang yang sangat gaming.
And so often 4 or 5 nights a week, I would play games with my friends.
Ya, jadi saya bisa 4 sampai 5 kali seminggu main game bersama teman saya berjam-jam.
And I guess you could say, in a way, I'd put my hope in gaming.
Jadi saya bisa bilang waktu itu saya menaruh pengharapan saya pada game.
I put my hope in the entertainment or the relaxation that I got or thought I got from gaming.
Saya menaruh pengharapan saya pada hiburan dan game yang saya pikir itu bisa menyenangkan saya.
It was what I looked forward to doing.
Itu selalu saya tunggu-tunggu setiap hari.
And so gaming was what I turned to when something got difficult, that I would turn to that. And I wouldn't really deal with the situation, but I would turn to gaming to kind of drown my sorrows, if you will.
Saya tipikal orang yang kalau saya punya masalah, saya akan mencari game untuk menyelesaikan masalah saya.
Anyway, we stopped at the place where Intan was staying.
Kembali, kami menjemput Intan.
And we opened the back door to put her bags in.
Kami buka pintu mobil belakang untuk naruh baggage-nya Intan.
And because I had so much stuff, apparently,
Karena
one of my cases came flying out of the back when we opened the door.
Iya, karena saya bawa banyak barang, tas saya jatuh ketika pintu itu terbuka.
And I almost caught it,
Saya hampir dapat,
but it hit the floor
Tapi
really hard.
jatuhlah ke tanah.
And that was the case that had my PlayStation in it.
Sebenarnya tas itu berisi PlayStation kesayangan saya.
And I was like, oh, it's fine. It's fine, guys, don't worry. It'll be
Yeah.
okay.
Dalam hati saya, nggak apa-apa itu, nggak apa-apa.
You know that feeling like when you drop your phone
Iya.
and it's face down and you're like, oh, I hope it's okay.
Iya, sama seperti ketika handphone baru kita jatuh, layarnya menyentuh tanah.
But on the inside, I was stressing. I was like, oh, it's definitely broken.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Selama
What am I gonna
perjalanan
do?
itu, sebenarnya saya sangat stres, tapi saya diam aja.
And so we get to Perth in the evening.
Akhirnya kami nyampe ke Perth waktu malam.
And the first thing I do when I get home is get my PlayStation out and check if it still works.
Iya, hal pertama yang saya lakukan nyampe rumah adalah buka koper saya, cek PlayStation saya.
And so it turns on. I'm like, oh, okay, we might be okay.
Oh, mungkin nggak apa-apa.
But then after like 5 minutes, it has this error message saying that it has to shut down because it's too hot.
Akhirnya
I
ketika
was like, I
saya
turned it on 5 minutes ago. It's the middle of Perth winter. It's like 8 degrees. How is it too hot?
Iya, jadi ketika saya nyalakan, 5 menit kemudian dikatakan error karena terlalu panas. Padahal waktu itu di Australia lagi dingin.
And so I was quite devastated by this.
Sebenarnya saya sangat sedih.
I had the next week before I started university again to relax and had planned to play games throughout the week.
Padahal saya sudah berencana main game itu bersama teman-teman saya sebelum masuk ke kampus.
But I think it showed me that I had put too much hope or importance in this PlayStation or in this hobby.
Itu menunjukkan kalau saya menaruh pengharapan saya pada PS.
And I'm not saying that God broke my PlayStation, not at all.
Iya, saya tidak menyalahkan Tuhan untuk PS saya yang rusak.
But through this trial, if that's what you can call it, I learned to trust and put my hope in God.
Iya, melalui kita sebut pencobaan ini, saya menaruh pengharapan saya pada Tuhan
More so than entertainment or hobbies.
daripada hiburan atau hobi saya.
And so hope is essential for us as humans.
Jadi pengharapan itu penting bagi kita sebagai manusia.
And the thing we put our hope in is so important.
Jadi kepada siapa kita taruh pengharapan itu penting.
And so our hope is not only in the promise that we get to spend eternity with God, but also that we get to live with Jesus in this world.
Iya, jadi pengharapan hidup dalam kekekalan bersama Tuhan itulah pengharapan kita dalam Tuhan.
That is this hope that enables us to live through the things in this world.
Sehingga kita bisa hidup di dunia ini.
So resurrection life means that we have an everlasting hope.
Kebangkitan hidup artinya kita punya pengharapan kekal.
So point number 2.
Poin nomor 2,
Resurrection life means trials.
kebangkitan hidup berarti pencobaan.
The first one was way more fun, hey? So if we look again at verse 6 in 1 Peter 1, Peter says, "In all this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials."
Bergembiralah akan hal itu, sekalipun sekarang ini kamu seketika harus berduka cita oleh berbagai-bagai pencobaan.
So following Jesus does not mean that life is going to be easy.
Mengikut Yesus bukan berarti hidup semakin mudah.
The early church is a perfect example of that.
Ya, gereja mula-mula adalah contohnya.
And so Peter writes as there is a guarantee that trials will come.
Iya, di Petrus menuliskan kalau kita akan menghadapi pencobaan.
And the trials of the early church that Peter was writing into were far more severe than what we experience here in Bali today.
Iya, apa yang dihadapi gereja mula-mula itu sebenarnya jauh lebih berat daripada yang kita hadapi saat ini.
But still, I don't think there's many of us that would say, yeah, life's really easy.
Tapi tetap hidup itu memang tidak mudah.
We all face problems,
Kita semua menghadapi masalah,
maybe loss of work, death of loved ones,
kehilangan pekerjaan ataupun kehilangan orang yang kita kasihi,
maybe problems in our family or relationships,
atau masalah di keluarga kita dan dalam hubungan keluarga,
financial struggles,
keuangan,
the power going out for all of Bali.
ya listrik mati di seluruh
Crazy.
Bali berjam-jam.
These things, they're not nice, right?
Itu semua nggak menyenangkan.
But what the living hope of Jesus enables us to do is reframe our idea of what these trials are.
Tapi pengharapan dalam Kristus memampukan kita untuk tetap bertahan.
Just as Viktor Frankl put his hope in being able to use those stories to help other people.
Sama seperti Viktor Frankl menggunakan, dia punya pengharapan supaya ceritanya bisa menolong orang lain.
We have the promise that our hope and our trials will be able to produce genuine faith within us
Jadi kita punya pengharapan supaya kita juga bisa menolong orang lain
if we allow them to.
kalau kita mengizinkan.
And we also have the promise that ultimately, no matter what happens in this life, we have an eternal inheritance in God.
Iya, kita punya pengharapan apapun yang terjadi di hidup ini kita punya warisan kekekalan di surga.
So when trials come, we have a choice of how we're going to respond.
Ketika pencobaan itu datang, bagaimana kita berespon?
We can close ourselves off from them,
Atau kita bisa menutup diri,
become apathetic and withdraw from the Christian life.
menjadi apatis dan juga menarik diri dari kehidupan kekristenan.
We can become hostile towards others.
Atau kita memilih untuk bermusuhan dengan orang lain.
My life is so hard, and so I'm going to make everyone else's life hard as well.
Jadi saya berusaha membuat semua orang juga mengalami kesusahan.
Or we can choose to embrace them as part of the journey that Jesus is leading us on.
Atau kita bisa menyambut kehidupan ini dengan seperti apa yang sudah menyambut dengan sukacita bersama Tuhan.
And embrace them as an opportunity to have our faith strengthened
Supaya iman kita semakin dikuatkan.
as we continue to persevere despite difficult circumstances.
Di mana kita bertekun di dalam setiap pencobaan yang kita alami.
But in order to see our trials in this way, we have to put our hope in Jesus. We have to have this living hope.
Tapi supaya kita menang atas pencobaan ini, kita harus menaruh pengharapan di dalam Tuhan.
And so through trials, our hope must remain in Christ and in His promises.
Ya, kita menaruh pengharapan menghadapi pencobaan ini dalam Kristus dan terhadap janji-janjinya.
If our hope moves to anything else or anyone else, then we very quickly lose sight of why we're going through these trials.
Ya, jangan sampai kita melupa dan melihat dengan mata jasmani kita untuk kita tetap menaruh pengharapan pada Tuhan terlepas dari situasi yang terjadi.
Often when we face problems in life, we can't look to ourselves or to other people to fix it or to finances to fix it.
Ya, sering sekali kita melihat hal yang besar depan kita daripada kita melihat Tuhan yang bersama kita.
We're powerless to fix the situation we're in.
Memang kadang kita tidak punya kuasa untuk menyelesaikan hal yang terjadi.
And so if our hope is something other than Jesus, if our hope is in something other than Jesus,
Ya, kalau kita punya pengharapan di luar Yesus,
then trials are going to seem like an inconvenience or
Jadi-
something in the way of us living the life that we think we should live.
pencobaan itu kelihatan sesuatu yang tidak nyaman.
When we reframe them through the hope in Jesus
Tapi ketika kita menaruh pencobaan itu di dalam pengharapan dalam Yesus
and the eternal inheritance we have in God,
dan warisan kekekalan dalam Yesus,
that we're able to see trials in the same way Jesus did.
kita melihat pencobaan itu sama seperti Yesus melihat pencobaan itu.
And as a method of bringing change that we need within us.
Iya, kita berusaha melihat itu sama seperti Tuhan melihat dan itu membawa perubahan.
If we look again at verse 7, these have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed.
Di ayat 7 dikatakan bahwa maksud semuanya itu ialah untuk membuktikan kemurnian imanmu yang jauh lebih tinggi nilainya daripada emas yang fana yang diuji kemurniannya dengan api, sehingga kamu memperoleh puji-pujian dan kemuliaan dan kehormatan pada hari Yesus Kristus menyatakan dirinya.
So these trials that we go through, they bring refining in our lives.
Jadi pencobaan itu membawa kemurnian,
Much like the way that gold is purified.
sama seperti emas yang dimurnikan.
Has anyone seen the process of refining gold before?
Siapa yang pernah melihat proses pembuatan emas?
In in Perth, I think I was in year 4. Every primary school goes on an excursion to the Perth Mint where they make the coins.
Ya, jadi di negara saya, jadi setiap kelas 4 kita pergi excursion untuk melihat proses pembuatan koin.
And so they take you through and they show you how they melt down the metal.
Jadi kita akan ditunjukkan bagaimana melelehkan metal.
And so I have a picture of what gold looks like when it's pulled out of the ground.
Saya punya gambaran
Picture,
bagaimana
hopefully. Maybe.
emas.
There we go. That's what it looks like when it's pulled out of the ground.
Ya, jadi inilah
Not very nice, is it?
emas yang belum terpisah ketika
See a little
ditemukan.
bit of shiny stuff, but it's mostly just a mess, really.
Ya. Jadi tumpukan emas
You
beserta
wouldn't wear
material
that
lain.
around your neck. And so essentially, from my limited understanding of the process,
Jadi dengan keterbatasan pengetahuan saya tentang emas,
they put that into something that's very hot,
jadi bongkahan itu dilelehkan
and so they melt it, and the gold melts.
di tempat yang panas sekali.
And so gold melts at over 1,000 degrees.
Dilelehkan ribuan derajat.
That's pretty hot.
Sangat panas.
The aircon's saying it's 26 degrees in here, and I'm already sweating. So quite hot. Something that you would think would probably destroy most things, right? That kind of heat.
Kadang kita mungkin berpikir 1000 derajat itu bisa menghancurkan semuanya.
And so the heat breaks the gold down to its most pure form.
Sebenarnya ribuan derajat itu memurnikan emas tersebut.
It turns this solid into a liquid.
Jadi dia menjadi cairan emas.
And then when it's a liquid, you grab this big spoon and you spoon out all the rubbish, all the rocks and things that are in it.
Ya, jadi ketika sudah berbentuk cairan, semua kotorannya dipisahkan sehingga hanya emas yang terkumpul.
And then here is what gold looks like after the refining process. I'm
Dan
sure we've
ini-
all seen it. That's the gold I'm talking about.
Ya, ini adalah emas murni.
Got a little Perth Mint there. That's from my hometown. And so trials can destroy us.
Pencobaan bisa menghancurkan kita.
Trials can take away our faith.
Pencobaan bisa mengambil jauh kita dari Tuhan.
Just like you would think extreme heat would destroy most things.
Sama seperti panas mungkin kita pikir bisa menghancurkan semuanya.
But what Peter is saying is if we keep our hope in Jesus
Tapi Petrus berkata ketika kita menaruh pengharapan di dalam Yesus
and trust in what he's doing in our life,
dan mempercayakan apa yang dia kerjakan dalam hidup
the
kita,
trials will turn us into something like that shiny gold,
pencobaan bisa memurnikan kita sama seperti emas.
where our faith is strengthened,
Ketika iman kita
where
dikuatkan,
we become more like Christ,
kita semakin serupa Kristus.
where we, are not bothered by little problems anymore.
Kita tidak terganggu oleh hal-hal kecil.
As James puts it in James 1 verse 2 to 4, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. So let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything.
Saudara-saudaraku, anggaplah sebagai suatu kebahagiaan apabila kamu jatuh ke dalam berbagai-bagai pencobaan. Sebab kamu tahu bahwa ujian terhadap imanmu itu menghasilkan ketekunan. Dan biarkanlah ketekunan itu memperoleh buah yang matang, supaya kamu menjadi sempurna dan utuh dan tak kekurangan suatu apapun.
So trials produce great things in us if we allow them to.
Pencobaan itu sebenarnya menghasilkan hal yang besar ketika kita mengizinkan Tuhan ikut
And see
bekerja.
them through our hope that is in Jesus.
Melalui pengharapan di dalam Yesus.
On the other hand, trials can also help us to put our hope in Jesus.
Karena pencobaan itu sebenarnya menolong kita menaruh pengharapan di dalam Yesus.
Things that we used to rely on or turn to for our hope and our purpose.
Iya, karena itu mengalihkan pengharapan kita kepada siapa yang sebenarnya.
It's a silly example maybe, but my trial of having my PlayStation broken helped me to put my faith and my hope in Jesus.
Sama seperti saya mungkin kelihatan agak konyol, tapi ketika PS saya rusak, saya menaruh pengharapan saya pada Tuhan, bukan pada game saya.
And it took away a distraction in a time that would have been far less fruitful if I had been playing games the whole time.
Dan hidup saya tidak akan berbuah kalau saya sibuk main game.
So when we have our hope in other things, God can use our trials and situations to bring us back to Him.
Iya, ketika saya sorry, I missed it because of the voice.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, when our hope is in other things, God can use our trials to bring us back to putting our hope in Him.
Ya, ketika pengharapan kita kepada hal yang lain, Tuhan bisa membawa kita kembali kepada Dia.
And when our hope is in Jesus, our trials become more about that refining, and we reframe our mind about what trials are.
Tapi ketika pengharapan kita kepada Yesus, Tuhan akan memurnikan kita.
That our trials don't destroy us or destroy our hope, but they strengthen us and build us up.
Tapi pencobaan itu semakin menguatkan kita.
So resurrection life means trials.
Yang kedua tadi, kebangkitan hidup berarti adalah pencobaan.
And number 3, resurrection life means joy.
Yang ketiga, kebangkitan hidup adalah sukacita.
There is a constant theme in almost all of the scriptures in the New Testament when it talks about trials.
Iya, jadi banyak hal di Alkitab dikatakan tentang pencobaan,
They all mention joy.
tapi lebih banyak dikatakan sukacita.
What?
What?
Joy when my life is being threatened?
Iya, mungkin saudara bilang sukacita ketika hidup saya merasa terancam.
Joy in times of trial?
Sukacita di dalam pencobaan,
Joy when my whole life is falling apart?
sukacita ketika hidup saya berantakan.
And so the verse from James we read before, consider it pure joy when you face trials.
Anggaplah suatu kebahagiaan, sukacita ketika engkau mengalami pencobaan, dikatakan di Yakobus.
In verse 6 of 1 Peter 1, in all of these things you greatly rejoice.
Dikatakan di Petrus bahwa bergembiralah akan hal itu.
And then in verse 8, though you have not seen him, you love him, and even though you do not see him now, Jesus, you believe in him and are filled with an inexpressible and glorious joy.
Sekalipun kamu belum pernah melihat dia, namun kamu mengasihinya, kamu percaya kepada dia, sekalipun kamu sekarang tidak melihatnya, kamu bergembira karena sukacita yang mulia yang tidak terkatakan.
And so this verse points to the joy that we experience as we don't run from trials, but embrace them as a refining process.
Ada sukacita karena kita tidak lari dari pencobaan dan kita bertahan dalam proses.
But I want you to imagine that you are going out for coffee with a friend who has just lost their mother.
Ya, bayangkan situasi ini. Saudara bersama dengan seorang teman yang baru saja berduka cita.
And you ask them, no, how are you going?
Kehilangan orang yang terkasih dan berkata, apa kabar?
And they say, I'm great, no problems, I'm full of joy.
Ya, kalau orang yang sedang berduka itu bilang, aku senang, aku penuh dengan sukacita, aku awesome, hebat.
You're going to think this person probably has something wrong with them, right?
Ya, mungkin saudara pikir orang ini gila kayaknya.
Yeah, gila, definitely. You're going to be a bit concerned for your friend,
Iya, mungkin kita jadi concern dengan orang ini.
that they're probably denying what's actually happening.
Mungkin dia menyangkal dengan situasi hidup dia saat itu.
And so it's certain that Peter is not talking about that in this verse, right?
Jadi bukan itu yang dimaksudkan Petrus.
Peter's not saying just grit your teeth and get through it with a smile.
Iya, bukan. Apa istilahnya itu? Bukan berarti menyangkal apa yang sedang kau alami.
And so this is not a joy that comes from denying that we have problems or denying our trials.
Iya, sukacita artinya bukan berarti menyangkal apa yang terjadi saat itu.
And so the word used for joy in the New Testament is kara.
Jadi kata sukacita di Perjanjian Baru disebut dengan kara.
And so this joy is not talking about the happiness we feel on a good day.
Iya, sukacita itu bukan berarti kebahagiaan yang kita alami ketika hari itu baik.
The happiness that we feel when our life is going well,
Bahagia karena hidup kita baik
or when someone gives us a really great gift.
atau mendapatkan banyak hadiah.
But this joy is about a choice.
Sukacita itu adalah pilihan,
It's not an emotion,
bukan emosi sesaat,
but a choice that we make.
tapi adalah pilihan.
It's not a short-term feeling of happiness,
Bukan kebahagiaan jangka pendek,
but it's a decision to rely on Jesus
tapi adalah keputusan untuk bergantung kepada Yesus.
and say something like, whatever's happening, my trust and my hope is in Jesus.
Ya, sukacita adalah apapun yang terjadi, pengharapan dan saya ada di dalam Kristus.
That I have this joy inside of me because I know that Jesus wants what's best for me.
Dan juga saya tahu apa yang Yesus mau yang terbaik buat saya.
That it's a deeper, a state of well-being, not an emotion or a feeling.
Iya, terlepas dari apa kata dunia, bukan terlepas dari apa emosi saat itu.
And this can only come when we put our hope in Jesus.
Dan sukacita ini terjadi ketika kita menaruh pengharapan di dalam Kristus.
And so if we look at the story of Jesus in his greatest moment of trial,
Kalau kita lihat kepada kisah Yesus ketika dia pada momen kesedihan dia.
In his greatest moment of grief because of the suffering he knew was about to come.
Karena dia tahu akan ada penderitaan yang terjadi kepada dia.
Praying in the Garden of Gethsemane,
Ketika dia berdoa di Taman Getsemani,
alone.
sendiri.
His friends couldn't even stay awake with him.
Bahkan murid-muridnya tidak bisa bertahan bersama dia berdoa bersama.
Does that scene look like what we think of joy?
Mungkin kita berpikir apakah itu sukacita?
That Jesus is overwhelmed with grief to the point of sweating blood.
Karena Yesus dipenuhi dengan kesedihan sehingga keringatnya itu seperti darah.
But his response is, not my will, but yours be done, Father.
Tapi respon Yesus adalah bukan kehendakku, tapi biarlah kehendakmu yang jadi.
This is the response of joy.
Ini adalah respon sukacita.
Not the joy we usually think of,
Bukan sukacita yang biasa kita pikirkan.
but it's a joy in knowing no matter what happens in this life,
Tapi adalah respon di mana apapun yang terjadi di hidup saya,
I know that it's preparing me for my future and for eternity.
saya tahu bahwa Tuhan mempersiapkan untuk kehidupan saya yaitu untuk kekekalan.
That we will all suffer trials.
Semua kita mengalami pencobaan.
We all have problems.
Kita semua punya masalah.
We all have people in our families that pass away.
Kita semua punya anggota keluarga yang meninggal.
And we all have our own choice about how we're going to face those
Dan kita
and how
semua
we're going to
punya
respond.
pilihan untuk bagaimana meresponnya.
So resurrection life means joy.
Kebangkitan hidup artinya sukacita.
So I want us to consider, what is our hope in?
Sekarang kita mari pikirkan apa pengharapan kita.
If we're going through difficult times and our response is to just indulge in things that make us feel good,
Kalau kita mengalami kesusahan dan kita terlalu sibuk terperangkap dalam keadaan kita,
excessive eating, drinking, gaming, watching endless TV shows,
makan berlebihan, game berlebihan, menambahkan hidup yang enggak teratur,
it's probably not going to bring about anything good.
mungkin tidak membawa suatu hal yang baik.
But if our hope is genuinely in Jesus
Tapi ketika hidup pengharapan kita murni di dalam Yesus
and in the eternal promises that he has for us,
dan janjinya yang kekal,
then our response should be something similar to Jesus' response to his grief and trials.
jadi respon kita adalah sama ketika Yesus merespon ke dalam kesedihannya yang mendalam di Taman Getsemani.
Not my will, but yours be done, God.
Bukan kehendakku Tuhan, tapi biarlah kehendakmu yang jadi.
Biblical hope is not about being optimistic that the odds might work out in my favor.
Ya, jadi secara kita mungkin kita bukan optimis, bukan kehendak kita yang jadi sebenarnya.
Or something good might happen to stop my suffering.
Atau kita harus berpikir optimis itu sesuatu yang baik terjadi untuk menghentikan penderitaan saya.
But it's about making a choice to wait for God
Tapi buat pilihan untuk menantikan Tuhan
to bring about a future that is surprising as a man coming and dying on the cross.
menantikan Tuhan untuk menolong kita karena Dia Allah yang sudah mati buat kita.
That was God's plan to save us.
Karena memang dari awal adalah rencana Tuhan untuk menyelamatkan kita.
Crazy, right? And so the Christian hope looks back to Jesus to then look forward into the future.
Ya, jadi mari kita menantikan Yesus dan juga pengharapan di dalam Dia.
Trials will come, but let's allow them to strengthen us.
Pencobaan itu akan datang, tapi biarkan pencobaan itu menguatkan iman kita.
That, as Peter said, that proven faith is more valuable than gold.
Dikatakan bahwa telah dibuktikan dengan iman itu melebihi emas.
That our faith is refined by fire.
Iman kita dimurnikan oleh api.
And if our faith remains in Jesus,
Dan jika iman kita di dalam Yesus,
then it brings that great reward and eternal life in heaven with God.
itu membawa pengharapan kita dan hadiah kita terbesar yaitu dalam Yesus.